Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo are on a US Express elevator straight to hell, going down. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tyler Vance Rants. I am your host, Tyler Vance himself, and you are not. It's September 7th, 1985. Last week, Mr. Fuji's diabolical plan for the Prince of Darkness, the magnificent Muraco, to be the only one left standing when it comes to challenging Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship was working brilliantly. Mel Phillips returned from injury to mock Terry Funk before hiding behind the safety of the junkyard dog like a coward. And the NWA World Six-Man Tag Team Champions, the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff, his nephew the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff, along with Crusher Khrushchev, delivered Russian justice to the NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Valley Girl Express, Ricky Morton, and Robert Gibson. WWF Championship Wrestling is up first this week, and for once Vince McMahon does not have a co-host who breathes biased hot air, as Jesse the Body Ventura is on color commentary. Tiger Chung Lee and Jerry Adams are up first, facing off against the Killer Bees, B. Brian Blair and Jumpin' Jim Brunzell in tag team action.
They're definitely coming into their own, Vince McMahon. But I'll say this for them, I don't like their ring attire.
Preach, Body, preach! Lee starts things off by scoring a backbreaker on Brunzell, but misses the following elbow, leading to a double elbow from the Bees. At this point, classy Freddie Blassie joins guest commentary to discuss how he is a shoo-in to win the WWF's Manager of the Year competition, which comes to an end in 2 weeks. And how does he know this? Easy.
Because there's more Russians that know how to write than these other pencil neck geeks have been sending in. And also these Iranians.
I can't find a flaw in that statement. Back to the action, Jim Brunzell employs a dropkick on Adams to secure the Killer Bees the 3. The WWF's propaganda update this week focuses on Mr. Blunderful Paul Orndorff, and Lord Awful Alfred Hayes states incorrectly that since WrestleMania, Orndorff has been
leaving a trail of injured bodies behind him,
considering that he's been able to outsmart and outlast Bobby the Brain Heenan and his $25,000 bounty. So what's next?
Judging by his recent match results, plus his positive mental attitude, his future looks very rosy.
Paul Orndorff's future looks dim, not rosy. If $25,000 can't put Mr. Blunderful away, do not think that Bobby Heenan doesn't have the resources to up that $25,000 bounty, which means that meaner bounty hunters will be on the trail. And that is a Tyler Vance guarantee. The Prince of Darkness himself, the magnificent Muraco, accompanied by the mastermind manager, Mr. Fuji, takes on Jimmy Jackson one-on-one next, with the animals in the crowd chanting,
And the chant of Peach Bomb is heard. Oh my goodness, is it ever?
which only makes the Prince of Darkness seethe with anger, which he takes out on Jackson in the form of a tombstone pile driver. Are you happy now, you idiots? I really can't believe my eyes here. Apparently the hillbilly sex education system has failed, considering these inbred idiots keep popping up like daisies. As Ron Shaw takes on the next buffoon to hit the squared circle, Cousin Junior, who's accompanied by Hillbilly Jim and Uncle Elmer. Jim outright abducts a hillbilly child from the moronic masses and dances with him prior to the singles match getting underway. Inspired by this, Junior cracks out, which causes Shaw to take cover in the ropes understandably. Cousin Junior then manages to hit a clothesline and gets a 3 count following a mule kick.
Go get him, cuz!
That was stupid. These hillbillies are stupid. Adrian Adonis, accompanied by his manager Bobby the Brain Heenan, faces off against Mike Saxton in more singles action next. But prior to the match, Ludi International Canadian International Heavyweight Champion Dino Bravo introduces himself to the moronic masses, as the World Wrestling Federation was finishing its takeover of Ludi International at this time, which was based out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Bravo himself may just debut in the WWF sooner than you think. With the sound of the bell, Saxton catches Adonis with a headbutt, a move he regrets quickly as Adrian Adonis responds with a running power slam that secures the 3. This week's Piper's Pit features the Giant, John Studd, and his manager Bobby the Brain Heenan, And while we already witnessed a demonstration of what would happen if WWF Champion Hulk Hogan got back into the ring to face off against the Iron Sheik in toy form recently on an episode of TNT, another demonstration is shown here, but this time Andre the so-called Giant's toy is completely demolished by studs in a very accurate depiction.
Then what would we do? We would say, bye-bye, Andre! It's as simple as that.
Joe Mirto goes head-to-head with Macho Man Randy Savage, accompanied by Miss Elizabeth, in more singles action next. And this is the first time that Savage is played down to the ring by Pomp and Circumstance, an intro song that he will use for the majority of his career from this point onward. With the match underway, Mirto catches Savage with a body slam, but when he charges him in the corner moments later, the Macho Man is able to dodge out of the way before throwing his opponent to the outside and dropping a double axe handle on his head. Back in the ring, a body slam from Randy Savage leads to an elbow drop from the top rope to get the win, with a second elbow drop delivered solely for Miss Elizabeth's delight. The next match actually took place back on August the 24th and was for the WWF Tag Team Championships. The challengers, the dream team of Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine, accompanied by their manager Luscious Johnny Valiant, looked to dethrone the champions, the US Express of Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, who were accompanied by their manager Captain Loser Albano. The tag team match is joined in progress and immediately sees Windham slam both of his opponents' heads together before catching Valentine with a dropkick, employing his bulldog right after, but the Hammer kicks out at 2. A second bulldog may have gotten the 3 count, however Beefcake thankfully interrupts the pin before going on to receive instructions from Valiant. Proceeding to rip and tear at the WWF Tag Team Champion's face with no foreign object in sight, I'll tell you that much. Just pure strength of will, which opens the way for Greg Valentine to drop an elbow. 1, 2, 3, we have new WWF Tag Team Champions. The Dream Team comes true. We're then shown footage of Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura attempting to have a word with the new WWF Tag Team Champions, the Dream Team. However, Monsoon refers to their win.
It's a very controversial change of title.
Just how was it controversial, you big goof? Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine won their match fair and square, and when Johnny Valiant attempts to explain this, he's cut off by that stupid gorilla before the interview is ended, in what I like to call a pro-CNN move. You can't censor the truth forever, Gorilla Monsoon. The main event of WWF Championship Wrestling sees Mr. Fuji prove that he has still got it as he looks to face off against the World Wrestling Federation's biggest cheater, Ricky the Dummy Steamboat, who charges the ring and attacks Mr. Fuji from behind before strangling him with the Dummy's own black belt. See? Cheater. Of course this doesn't result in any kind of disciplinary action like a disqualification, because the cheating is not only encouraged but recommended by the biased official. So Steamboat follows the action up with an atomic drop. Okay, you want to play dirty? How's that for dirty, you kung fu creep? Unfortunately, even a low blow to Steamboat's dragon isn't enough to keep him down, as Ricky Steamboat responds with a chop as Mr. Fuji comes off the ropes, going up for another cheating move in the form of a flying crossbody, which results in a near fall. Going for a splash, Ricky Steamboat meets only Mr. Fuji's knees, but is able to get a surprise win, and as the dummy celebrates his win in the entranceway,
No! 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 Oh no, look! Look!
My goodness, look at that. He's spitting on him. He's spitting on Steamboat.
talk about a winning feeling. And you might as well savor it, Ricky Steamboat, because you're going to feel a lot more of that in the near future. Believe me. The National Wrestling Alliance's flagship show, World Championship Wrestling, is back this week, and as always, both crotchety David Crockett and Tony Schiavone are on commentary, and immediately have a word with the uncle and nephew tandem of the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff and the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff, 2/3 of the NWA World Six-Man Tag Team Champions. By the way, I've got a question. If the United States of America is such a free country, why is Nikita Koloff constantly told what to do and how to talk by both Crockett and Schiavone? I guess what they say is true. freedom isn't free. The Valley Girl Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, currently hold something that belongs to both Ivan Koloff and his nephew Nikita Koloff, the NWA World Tag Team Championships. But thankfully for the Russians, the Valley Girl Express's hold on the championships is hanging by a thread, and it's only a matter of time before the Russians sever it. Paul Garner goes head-to-head with the Nature Boy Buddy Landel, accompanied by his manager James J. Dillon, in one-on-one action to get WCW underway, with Landel proving why he's deserving of the Nature Boy moniker, controlling the larger Garner with a mixture of technical holds and still having enough presence to ask,
Rick, who? Who's the Nature Boy?
before finishing his opponent off with a figure 4 leg lock. Ron Rossi and Nick Busick are in tag team action next, but first, Jim Cornette has a few words for the moronic masses.
I've never seen dead people sitting up before. Wake up out there. Let me tell all you people something. I don't give money to bums with their hand out. If you want some money, then go dig a ditch or take in some laundry. You know what I mean? A lot of you females out there, you've been writing steamy love letters to the Midnight Express. You wouldn't believe the graphic descriptions, Tony. As a matter of fact, I had to read one letter 7 times just to believe my eyes. Ladies, please, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you now the men who wake women up and put men to sleep all over the country. Loverboy Dennis and beautiful Bobby, the Midnight Express.
The Midnight Express certainly do know how to control a match, and as Cornette himself puts it on guest commentary,
Ron Rossi is about as dangerous as a 2-story outhouse. Do you realize that?
so it's no surprise to me that the Midnight Express then walk away with the victory following Loverboy Dennis Condrey Irish whipping his opponent into beautiful Bobby Eaton's clothesline. Mike Nichols takes on a third of the NWA World Six-Man Tag Team Champions, the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff, who is accompanied by his uncle, the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff, in more singles action next. Mike Nichols sees his worst nightmares come to fruition in this match, considering he's torn to shreds by the Russian Nightmare, which culminates in a Russian sickle win. Moron TA is Tony Schiavone's next guest at the broadcast booth, and not a single day has gone by where Moron hasn't thought about the day where he lost the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship to Tully Blanchard, even fabricating a lie that Baby Doll, of all people, aided Blanchard in his win by dressing up as a security guard, despite the fact that Tully Blanchard's perfect 10 at the time was indentured as the NWA World Television Champion Dusty Rhodes' servant. This is all in an effort to make Moron TA make himself feel better about the whole situation. Pathetic. Moron then warns Tully Blanchard that one day, justice will be served, and that the NWA United States Heavyweight Champion should keep his eyes peeled because
It's gonna get a lot hotter before it's over with.
Moron TA himself remains behind on guest commentary for the next singles match, which sees Jim Jeffers take on the NWA United States Heavyweight Champion Tully Blanchard, who is of course accompanied by his perfect 10, Baby Doll. Blanchard himself controls the non-title match so effortlessly that he constantly takes time out of it to not only mock Moron TA, but then challenge him to get in the ring if Moron is so confident that he can beat Blanchard.
You want some of me, boy?
Look at Blanchard.
I've given you enough free beatings. The next time we go in the ring, I'll be for the title, not for some cheap shot out here on TV, chump.
Yeah, it's just excuse after excuse with you, isn't it? Shut up. Unsurprisingly, a slingshot suplex secures Tully Blanchard the win. You remember the lie that Moron TA likes to tell himself to comfort his own insecurities? Well, it turns out that he made it a reality recently, as he was the one to dress up as a security guard on a recent episode of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, handcuffing Baby Doll to the ring rope during one of Tully Blanchard's matches before unjustifiably attacking the NWA United States Heavyweight Champion. Isn't there a law against impersonating a police officer? This maniac should be fined, suspended, and then thrown in prison. The NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, is Tony Schiavone's next guest at the broadcast booth, warning that things have only just begun when it concerns NWA World Six-Man Tag Team Champion, the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff, before also going on to warn NWA World Television Champion, the American Delusion Dusty Rhodes, to keep his ugly mug out of the Nature Boy's business. You lost the NWA World Heavyweight Championship shot you had at Starrcade 84, Rhodes. Get over it. Take the L and move on.
You're talking to the Rolex. wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo!
Cowboy Ron Bass goes head-to-head with Kent Glover in the next singles match, which sees Bass get a quick Iron Claw win. The NWA National Tag Team Championships are on the line next, as Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer and Terry Taylor look to dethrone the champions, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Arn and Ole Anderson. But it begs the question, why Taylor and not Sawyer's own brother, Hot Dog Brett? It would make more sense, especially considering the Sawyer brothers have been doing nothing but jacking their jaws concerning Arn and Ole Anderson lately, but when time comes to put up or shut up, Brett Wayne Sawyer is nowhere to be found. Coward. Oh well, it just means that the Andersons are going to have an easier time of it against their opponents, such as when Arn Anderson goes for a sunset flip, but only ends up being bitten in the face by Buzz Sawyer. Disqualification! Hello! End the match right now! That's unacceptable! Both men end up tagging their partners in, which sees Ole Anderson suffer an arm drag takedown from Terry Taylor. So Double A and the Mad Dog then tag back in, which sees Arn Anderson suffer an arm drag takedown this time, so Ole Anderson goes to his brother's aid. But once tagged in, he gets Irish whipped into the corner, thankfully still deft enough to move out of the way, resulting in the Mad Dog's shoulder colliding with the steel ring post. The Minnesota Wrecking Crew smell blood in the water, and they begin to target the injured shoulder of the Mad Dog until Sawyer is lucky enough to get a flying forearm, resulting in all four men brawling until the Andersons get whipped into each other. Terry Taylor tries to roll Arn Anderson up for a pin, but instead gets thrown over the top rope, resulting in a disqualification for the NWA National Tag Team Champions. But hey, disqualifications mean that the championships do not change hands. Tony Schiavone's next guest at the broadcast booth is the NWA World Television Champion, the American Delusion, Dusty Rhodes, who finally answers the weeks-old challenge from Paul Jones to put the championship on the line against either Abdullah the Butcher or the Barbarian.
It's right here for you anytime you want to. Mac's team is ready for you at any time.
Dusty Rhodes then changes tactics, just like his partner in America's Trash, more on TA, fabricating a lie about the Nature Boy Ric Flair, all in an effort to make himself feel better, considering Rhodes was inadequate in beating Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
The yellow cab is easy to get to the airport. The limousines are made for real men, Ric Flair.
I think you're a little confused, Dusty Rhodes, since Ric Flair is the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun, woo! And you are just an overweight piece of crap. Denny Brown goes head to head with George South in the next singles match, and I'd like to point out that Brown is no longer the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion. Instead, he'll have an opportunity to reclaim the championship from the current champion, Gary Royal, in 2 weeks. South himself offers little challenge to the former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, who manages to control most of the match with technical holds before a dropkick leads into a roll-up win. The Boogie Woogie Maniac, Jimmy Valiant, faces off against Vernon Deaton in another singles match, and yet another blatant demonstration of the horrible officiating plaguing both the National Wrestling Alliance and the World Wrestling Federation, considering Valiant uses a stranglehold in plain sight of the referee with the aid of the ropes, but no disqualification is issued, nor is one issued for the closed fist the Boogie Woogie Maniac uses. Instead, referee Mike Fever not only allows Jimmy Valiant to do all of these illegal maneuvers, but he also rewards him with a fast 3 count following an elbow drop. Such disgusting officiating. Fever should have his referee's license revoked. The NWA United States Heavyweight Champion Tully Blanchard shoves that geek Tony Schiavone aside so he can have a word privately with Baby Doll, addressing that idiot moron TA who's full of nothing but criminal activity and empty threats.
So Magnum, you threaten me all you want. You do your threats in the squared circle, and we'll see just exactly how good you really are. Give the boy back his microphone.
It's your pleasure, Tony.
Thank you, thank you.
6-man tag team action follows, which sees American Starship Eagle, the Italian Stallion, and Sam Houston take on Larry Clark, Pablo Crenshaw, and Randy Barber. The Stallion himself is a fine athlete, and he has come a long way since his debut last year in 1984, but oh my god, those obnoxious howls that he learned from Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer every time he performs a move are so damn annoying. Eagle, Houston, and the Italian Stallion surprisingly work well as a team, walking all over their opponents until Houston himself puts Pablo Crenshaw away with a bulldog. Tony Schiavone's next two guests at the broadcast booth are both the NWA National Heavyweight Champion Black Bart, along with his manager James J. Dillon, who reveals that his former client and Bart's former tag team partner, Cowboy Ron Bass, recently had a yard sale where he was trying to get rid of all of his old long rider equipment. Apparently only one person showed up and lowballed Bass so much that it turns out the Cowboy paid him to take the stuff. Needless to say, if Ron Bass thinks that he's going to take anything away from Black Bart, he has some sad news coming.
It ain't gonna happen! JJ, look what I got right here! Come get it, Bass! I don't think you got the guts!
He was and you are.
The main event of NWA World Championship Wrestling and the week is more tag team action as the RPMs, Mike Davis and Tommy Lane, take on the NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Valley Girl Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, in a non-title competition. The RPMs make some early miscalculations, which unfortunately results in them hitting each other, so they take a moment to regain their composure on the outside of the ring. Once back in the action, Davis is able to catch Morton in the middle of a Luthez press, using the NWA World Tag Team Champion's own momentum against him to drape his neck over the top rope. Ricky Morton then gets isolated from his partner and double teamed by the RPMs until he catches one of his opponents with a boot coming off of the ropes, tagging in Gibson, who manages to get a sunset flip win. We almost had new NWA National Tag Team Champions when Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer and Terry Taylor nearly got one over on the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Arn and Ole Anderson, who wound up disqualifying themselves to save their championships in a move described by experts as brilliant. We very nearly saw new #1 contenders for the NWA World Tag Team Champions as the RPM's Mike Davis and Tommy Lane took the Valley Girl Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson to the limit. But we did see new WWF Tag Team Champions crowned as the Dream Team. Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine dethroned the US Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo, who demonstrated that while they can certainly win the championships, Captain Loser Albano's leadership isn't good enough to help the US Express hold on to them for long. Twice now, under Captain Loser Albano's poor leadership, have both Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo barely been able to enjoy their reign before losing the WWF Tag Team Championships. It might just be time for the US Express to realize that what they need in order to succeed is to get rid of some excess weight. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tyler Vance Rants. You can succeed by hitting the bell, liking the video, and subscribing so you get week-by-week coverage of pro wrestling's golden age. And you can also follow me on social media where it is 1985 in pro wrestling all over again. That's all for now, so I'll see you next week. So long. Ooh, almost ran out of breath there. And for once, Vince McMahon does not have a co-host who... Blanchard controls the non-title match so effortlessly. International. Such a stupid championship name.